What's up, people? It's rainy a little bit. I have my umbrella. I'm going for my walk anyway. Today was calmer. You know, people are on their best behavior because the big boss is in town. So we shall see what happens in the next couple of days. I actually went to go to a job interview today, and I was really excited about it. It's more money, and then I noticed that you need a CDL license, which I don't have. So I'm glad it was open interview, so I'm glad I didn't get there. I'm like, oh, can I see your CDL license? I'm like, oh, I don't have one. Well, why are you applying for a CDL job? Dum-dum. Wonder why it was good money. It's a special license to drive special stuff, so I mean, I can get the classification, and they're probably still going to be hiring, so that's something to look into because it's like 5 minutes from my house. More money, insurance. I got mad apps out. Something good will come. I'm supposed to go in and talk to someone about what happened. I talked a little bit about what happened with my boss, and basically what I said matched up. And what she said did not match up, so I'm glad that they see my side of it in that aspect. That's all the energy I'm giving it. And I hung hieroglyphic symbols all over my desk. I'm not fucking around. I'm protecting my energy at all costs. And I'm teaching myself hieroglyphics at the same time. But anyway, today's a little mindful message. I don't want to get too heavy into it, but I want to review with you, like a lot of people that I talk to and my friends and stuff, like, how do you know if a relationship is worth saving or if it's time to go, basically. A lot of people ask me this. I don't know if it's because I was in a long term and then I changed my life, but mine was a forced tower. Like, I was pregnant, I was in a very difficult situation, and so I don't recommend forced towers. So in order to avoid a forced tower, which is basically divine intervention to get you away of what doesn't serve you because you're not getting out of it yourself, pretty much, or spirit needs to get you out of something dangerous. So in order to avoid that, you need to know when it's time to go. I have 3 easy rules to help you assess whether something is savable to you or whether it's time to kind of kick the bad habit of beating around the bush and do what needs doing. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to break up with anyone. You know, nobody wants to go through that, but it happens. It's life. And for the most part, you end up for the better for it because it wasn't meant to be. So, step 1, when you are really getting into the thick of it with your partner and somebody you're seeing, you really need to look at the situation you're in. Are you in a high, intense situation, as in, are you facing a health crisis? Is a pregnancy happening? Did somebody lose a job? Are you stressed and worried about money? Do you have family drama going on? A lot of these complications put pressure on relationships, but that doesn't mean the relationship is doomed. It just means you're overwhelmed. Maybe you need a little bit of a break or counseling to get back on track because you have outside circumstances putting stress on your relationship. And let's face it, we're human beings. We don't always handle things the best way or know how to handle things. So in those situations, when you're facing crisis, it puts strain on every relationship, not just romantic ones, but especially romantic ones. A lot of the times, things in our life cause problems, but the relationship is not the problem. Like, maybe one is paying more than the other, and it's starting to grow into resentment. So instead of allowing it to happen, speaking up and saying, I want things more fair, or I want more help with the kids, or I want more help at home, or I want more time with us. We don't spend time together anymore, yada yada. A lot of times we just allow these things to keep passing and ignoring it, and it becomes a bigger complication that eventually does create a wedge in the relationship. Like, if you voice yourself and you say, I think it's time that we pay more fair amounts so that resentment doesn't grow. I'm not saying I resent you. I'm not saying I'm angry. But I'm saying if it goes on this way, it could become something, and I don't want that our relationship to get damaged. So can we just work on this? I'm not saying you have to start paying this tomorrow. I'm not saying you have to run out and get a job right this second. I'm just saying start working on it. And if your person is working on it, even if it's slower than you would like, and they're making momentum, that is a good sign that the relationship is savable. When you start noticing that you're voicing things and they're not doing it, granted, you have to leave room for the other person. Maybe it doesn't work for them. Maybe it doesn't fit in for them. And it doesn't mean that you can't find a creative solution or a compromise. They're not always going to have to agree with your way of doing things. Compromise, meeting in the middle, this needs to happen. As long as they're doing that, I feel like it's savage. It's a hopeful relationship, salvageable. But when they ignore you and they just say okay, and weeks go by and there's no change, and then you have another argument about it, and they're not changing anything, and you just keep continuously having the same arguments because no change is happening, then that is a doomed relationship, because there's no progression and there's no want or need or desire to compromise and create peace in the relationship. Repeating the same pattern over and over again is only going to grow to a breakup. So if they don't feel it's worth putting the energy into, they don't feel that your relationship is worth putting the energy into, and you need to pay attention to that, because those are hurtful things that we notice that we like to brush under the rug, and later comes up like, why didn't I just say something then? Why didn't I just leave then? It's because that realization hurts, that they don't care enough to change for you, or they don't care enough to make things better. That's a painful realization for anyone, and it's natural for anyone to go into denial when they love someone like that. So number one, think about your overall circumstance, where you are, what you're experiencing, what you're going through. Again, can you get counseling or take a break from each other, or just talk to each other like, it's not you, I'm just stressed out at work, I'm stressed out about money, and I feel like we're putting it into our relationship, so we need to get better at talking. These are all things that are going to come up into your relationship at any point, whether it's in the beginning, middle, or end. Roadblocks, complications happen. You got to be able to communicate, and you got to be willing to work together. As long as those things are there, you're fine. Even if you're arguing for like 2 weeks straight, eventually you're going to come to the realization of, I don't want to keep going like this. I love this person. I hate it when we fight, and things start to slow down. It's when those 2 weeks turn into 2 months, turn into 2 years, you are in an unhealthy, toxic relationship, because you're not getting past that point of what I call deluding ourselves. Like, I can make this person fall in love with me. I can make them change. I can matter enough for them to change. The point is, you can't make anybody change, and you shouldn't have to. They should work as they are, or as the compromise stands. You're always going to have to meet in the middle. It's never going to be 100% fair, but what's fair when it's somebody you love? Eventually, one of you loves each other enough to be like, all right, it's not really that big of a deal, let's move on. And sometimes you get stubborn and you fight for a little bit. But the three things: are they trying? Do they show they care? Does it matter to you? And when you close your eyes and you think of your future in a realistic sense, without delusions, do you really see yourself with that person? And do you see yourself happy? Stop deluding yourself and face the truth. And whatever answer you get, only you can make that answer. We could give you all the advice, but you gotta make the choice. Hope it was helpful. See you next time.